What's up, my beautiful witchies? This is Madame Zee here, and I just wanted to do a super quick video on how to do shuffling of tarot cards. I have a lot of newbies out there that are very brand new to the tarot and learning tarot, and one of their biggest questions is, how do you shuffle? So I want to do a quick video and teach you how I do my shuffling methods, and let's just dive into it and see what comes up for us. So as you can see, I have a piece of selenite wand that is sitting on my tarot deck, and that is used to cleanse, clear, and to reset my tarot deck and to charge it. You can use any stone that you want to. I have a wide variety of stones here, but for this tutorial, I am just using my selenite wand for purposes of teaching you what to do with crystals and how I start off with my reading of tarot deck. So after I remove my stone of choice, this is just a normal size tarot deck. I didn't get a huge one. I have a bigger size one over here just for size comparisons. Let's look at the different sizes super fast. This is the bigger size tarot deck, and this is mainly the main size or the mainstream size of tarot decks. So they do have a variety of sizes. And it will dictate to you how you shuffle them, because how it feels in your hands is going to really determine the size of your tarot deck. So let's put that one aside and let's go with the smaller, more traditional deck size. So once I remove that stone, after it has charged, we have what I call a clear tarot deck. That means all the energies are dispelled. It is clear. You're starting with a clean slate for your clean reading. So let's go ahead and look at the different types of shuffling. So what I start out as, how I usually start, is I will cut the deck into two separate piles, and I do what is called a corner shuffle. And all I do is I start with the corners and shuffle it that way. So they are, look like that, and then I just squish them together, and I do that at least 3 times. Everybody is different. This is how I do mine, and that is called a corner shuffle. Okay, another method of shuffling, and I don't know if I can do this really well, but I'm going to try. It's not my favorite method with this size of cards, is I will go ahead and split the deck, and this is what I call like a Las Vegas or casino style shuffle, and I split them into 2, put my thumbs together, and I just do a bridge shuffle, and you can bridge it up like that if you want to, just a regular card shuffle. It is harder for me to do that just because of my hands are smaller and the decks are larger. You could probably do that with a regular size card deck if you read with cards, or if you have just a regular tarot deck that is card size or casino style. So that is one way to do it, is just do the casino style or Las Vegas style, where you just bridge it. See if I can do it again. Something like that, and then you bring it up and you just bridge it and put them together. So that is the casino style, Las Vegas style. Another one is what I call an overhand shuffle. So you take your deck and put it in one hand. You take the other hand and you just overhand shuffle, and I will show you that. Now, there is some different school of thoughts about, should you place it in your receiving hand? Should you replace it in your non-dominant hand, your dominant hand? You place your deck of cards wherever you feel is most comfortable to you. So I'm a right-handed person. So I always put my deck of cards into my left hand, and I use my dominant hand to shuffle. So place your deck in your hand. This is called an overhand hand shuffle. And I just start in the beginning. I just split the deck, and I will just let one side flop over, and I will just start letting cards fall into my hand, and I will start at the back and lift up and let them drop as my thumb catches it. Now, this is, and then sometimes I'll just tap it in there like that. This is showing you, whoop, and if it flips over, either you can consider that a bad shuffle and just place it back in there, or Spirit is telling you that this is a jumper card. You need to talk about this card with your client. Then you would place that face down and use that and combine that into the reading. But on this purpose, we're just going to put that back in. So keep shuffling. This is overhand shuffling for me. This is easier on your cards. Overhand shuffle. Pull from the back. Use your thumb to drop and catch. And then just do that. Then you're complete with your overhand shuffle. I'm trying to see if I have my other deck out, but I don't think I do. Oh, yeah, I do. So this is my Everyday Witch Tarot. And I used to shuffle it. I wanted you to compare these two. I corner shuffle these just like this. Okay. Now, I wanted to compare the two between, if you corner shuffle, it is a little bit harder on your deck. As you can see, my deck is now warped, right? So it does kind of warp the cards, but it fits better in my hand for me. And the more you shuffle and work with your cards and your deck, they will conform more to your style of shuffling and your hands. So for comparison, this is what happens when you use your deck all the time and you use that corner shuffle. It'll tend to warp it a little bit. Okay, but I like a worn out deck. It gives it lots of flavor, lots of energy. It's seasoned well. It knows me. We are instantly connected. So I don't mind a warped deck. Some people do. This is not a warped deck. This is kind of a brand new deck for me. And this is what happens when you hand over or overhand shuffle. It's a little bit gentler on the cards. They're not as warped. But I haven't used this deck as much as I have this one. So that one may end up a little bit bent and bruised and loved. So that's just the difference between, if you don't want to use or bend your deck so much, you want a gentler shuffle, go ahead and do the overhand shuffle and try not to bend your cards. Okay. So let's look at the third one that we want to look at. And this is what I call just a regular, not really a riffle, but it's kind of like a shuffle, table shuffle. So what you do is you just take your cards. If you have enough room, make sure you have enough room in the table. And you just spread your tarot deck out, your cards out, and you just go, I call it a wash shuffle. But you have to have enough room for this one. And if you're reading tarot, maybe at an event or you don't have a large enough table, this may not be the ideal way for you to shuffle. But you just take your deck and your cards and you just move them all around. And this is just called the wash shuffle. Not my favorite. I've seen people do it. Not my favorite style. And then you just organize them into one pile. So that is the wash method. Now let's look at another method. This is called the fan method. And you have to have room for this one too. So I may be a little bit off camera, but I think you guys can see me. So what you do is you start with your tarot deck stacked in one end, and you just take it and spread it out along the table and fan it out. This is what I call the fan method. And just spread it out on the table. People can look at it. And then you intuitively put your hand or run your hand over the pile of cards, and you just randomly pick cards that are drawn to you, that you may feel a little bit more tingle, you may feel heat, you may feel a stronger pull, you may feel a vibration from a certain card, and you would just pull that card out of the pile. And then that would start your tarot reading. And that is called the fan method. Okay? So we have gone over the overhand shuffle, the Las Vegas or casino style shuffle, the wash shuffle, and the riffle shuffle, and I think that's all we did, right? And the fan out method. So we've gone over all of those, I believe. So that is how we start actually shuffling the cards and different methods for you to get you started. Now, you try the styles that I talked about. Find which one works for you. It's going to be different for everyone, and it's going to be different for the size of the cards that you use, and also going to be different for how long you've been reading tarot. I've been reading tarot for a long time, and so my hands are starting to hurt a little bit, so I do more overhand than I do shuffling. So don't be upset if your card shuffling technique changes. You're still connected to the deck. You're still connected to spirit, so you can still get the same answers. Now, let's talk a little bit about cutting, and I will show you how I cut. Now, not everybody cuts the same way, and this is how I do it. So I will shuffle the cards, and I will tell my sitter or client, cut the cards into 3 piles, and I cut them starting from the left to the right. So I will cut them like this, and then I will tell them to repile the deck any way they want to. But if it's me, you can pile it any way you want to, but for this purposes, we're just going to pile it like that. Okay, cut it into 3 separate piles, and then restack it into 1 pile. That is my method that I use. You can use any method that you want to. Some people don't even cut the cards. Some people just shuffle and stack it, and that's how they start their reading, or they will start pulling from the top into your 3 card spread. Okay. Some people will pull from the bottom, and that's going to be starting their 3 card spread. Okay, so you can start any way you want to, pulling from the top, cutting it into 3s. You can start with not even cutting it. You can pull from the bottom. You can pull from the middle. Whatever feels good to you is how you want to start your tarot practice. Do whatever feels good to you. These are just some examples of how I suggest that you start playing around with to get started and feel which one is good for you. You don't have to stick with this. You can do any variations of this. You can start off riffling. You can start off cutting or not cutting the deck. You don't have to do any of it, okay? So do what you feel is right for you. Practice, practice, practice. And these different methods should get you started on how to shuffle and your different ways to cut the deck. Okay? I hope you enjoyed this video, and we will see you in the group. Bye for now.